democracy through ensuring openness, transparency, and accountability for public resources.
A budget speech doesn't happen in a vacuum. It is the financial translation of a political vision. And that vision was laid out just under 2 weeks ago by President Cyril Ramaphosa during the State of the Nation address that was held on the 12th of February. Now, the president stood before the nation and made a series of commitments, promises, aimed directly at easing the burden on South African consumers who are feeling the squeeze from all sides. Now, he spoke of a new chapter of turning our economy towards inclusive growth. But of course, we still need to look at that because the minister is now has that responsibility to fund the visions and the commitments that the president made just last week. And this means that the minister is tasked with making a reality of those words that the president made, translate them into tangible relief and opportunity. And they must find an expression in hard numbers, of which we will hear Minister Godongwana present today in the Dome at 2 p.m. And of course, I am joined by Mr. Alex Mabunda, who is an economist and CEO of Ntiyiso Consulting Group. Mr. Mabunda, thank you so much for making the time.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Mr. Mabunda, of course, you've been analyzing these cross currents very closely, right? In your view, what is the single most important message the minister needs to convey today to not only just reassure markets, but also to reassure the millions of South Africans who are hoping that something better will come from this budget?
Yeah, of course, indeed, as you said, the president came in last week and made some commitments, and we know some of the existential issues that are facing the country, whether it's unemployment, the high cost of living, deteriorating infrastructure, issues around municipalities, not functioning and not delivering the services. We've seen, for example, the water crisis lately. That's emerging. We've just come off a very terrible situation of load shedding. Oh, yes. So, indeed, the country is looking forward to those promises now being turned into action. We always say in the business sector that show me your budget and I know your intentions. So indeed the intentions have been made, and let's see whether whether those intentions do translate into the policy statement or the budget policy statement, as it were. And of course I think people will be looking at issues around, first and foremost, the big issue of VAT, whether we going back to that debate. The sentiment is that we're not going back there because of some of the improvements that we have seen as well, with more than expected collections from SARS, and some of the indicators showing that the initiatives to reduce spending have made or at least have resulted into some form of dividend. People will be looking at what the budget is going to say about initiatives to deal with the water issues, which has now become the new version of load shedding. There's also a sticking issue of tax brackets having not been adjusted for the past 2 years. So whatever increase that you will have gotten from your salary, it still gets eaten up, by the unadjusted tax budgets for inflation. So these are some of the issues that obviously, people will be looking to see whether there is some form of reliefs to consumers.
Mr. Mabunda, let's look at the macroeconomic picture and investor confidence, right? Now, as the minister takes the podium today, where does South Africa actually stand? Just give us your assessment of the triad of concerns. We have economic growth, we have investor confidence and affordability for the consumer. Are we generally at a turning point, or is this a fragile recovery moment that can easily be reversed?
Look, I think the tail end of your takes up the sentiment from our point of view. We've had a long period of a sub 1% economic growth. And I think for the first time we went just above 1%. The projection now is that we're going to go to about 1.5% of growth. We've had the removal from grey listing, which also now is boosting confidence. And also, we are now seeing the currency starting to improve against the dollar, and some of the big threats around tariffs, have now been alleviated with numbers not responding to some of the initiatives that the U.S. has been throwing threats into our economy with a 30% tariff. And we've seen also the courts in the U.S. Challenging that position. So in balance, we're beginning to see some sort of improvements, but those improvements are certainly not sufficient. We know that the 1.5% economic growth projection, or 1.4, if you like, depending on which projector you're looking at, is not sufficient. We're still looking at that 4 to 6% real growth to support employment and the sort of fiscal consolidation that we're looking at. We're still paying over 20% of our income into debt servicing. Of course, there's a small improvement in terms of the fact that for the first time, our debt to GDP ratio is not going up, it's stabilizing at just under 78%, if you like. So if it was a graph, it will just be stabilizing. And now we want to see, whether you're looking at up or down. But it has to go positive. But at the moment, we're at a plateau, which is a great improvement. I mean, it's like moving from a loss to, break even.
To break even,
But now I want to see a profit position. I think there's a lot of areas that we still need to improve on. And I don't know if you want me to elaborate on those, or maybe...
Please, go for it. Please.
No, look, I mean, to get to the 4-6% growth, we need to accelerate the structural reforms in the various industries, whether it's the logistics industries. We need to make sure that the threat of water shedding does not materialize in a way that load shedding for energy has. But most importantly for this country, I think we have to appreciate that in an economy of 60 million people, where easily 40 to 50% of those people are outside the active economic net, it's not sustainable. So we need to certainly make sure that reforms to redistribute the economic participation are put in place. I saw that the president came in and SONA and spoke about the public procurement bill regulations, which have been stalling. And we understand that those regulations are also meant to make sure that the whole transformation agenda is effected in a way that makes sure that women, people with disabilities, and black people in general begin to realize a much greater slice of the economy. And I think with those type of reforms is where you will start to see real growth. But if we just focus on the huge, industrial undertakings, whether it's to ship more minerals to the ports, but with little economic activity internally, and with little consumer activity, will struggle to get to those type of numbers. So great, signs of recovery, but a lot still needs to happen to get us to the sweet spot.
All right. Now, Mr. Mabunda, thank you so much. Obviously, our conversation will continue. To our viewers, please stay with us. We're having some technical problems here on Parliament TV. However, we are going to get that sorted as we await the budget speech that is set to go on in about 40 minutes, where Minister Godongwana will take to the podium in the Dome. Thank you so much.
Nandilindele ubana avule opportunity abantwana abangaphangeliyo youth. Sibaninzi, I think 90% wethu akaphangeli, uhleli phansi, ingahle avule